All right, what's up, guys? We've got another episode of the Growth by Shawn podcast. So I'm here with D today from Nutrition Lab in Walpole. D, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. Happy to be on here.
Good, good. So um, I wouldn't say that we're like rivals, but in a sense, like I'm a Swanson Nutrition Corner uh, employee or whatever you want to call it for Big Mike. Everyone that listens to the podcast knows Big Mike. So I'm excited to just hear a little bit more about like Nutrition Lab and like how it got started, things like that. But the way, just like I was saying, how we start the podcast is, D, you can just uh, a little bit about you or how you started Nutrition Lab, kind of whichever way you want to roll with it, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I guess I kind of got into it like I was going to the gym, whatever. Got my first job at a supplement store. So I was kind of just like interested, like I always wanted to do personal training, something in the fitness industry once I kind of steered my career into that realm. I was like, I want to do something fitness. Tried training, didn't really love it, like training clients.
Yeah.
I was like, it was all right. Sometimes entry level training, it's like you're slow and you don't get a ton of clients and it's like demotivating. You're making like no money and you're just like got to figure something else out. If it's not full time, it's not full time. So got a job at Cape Cod Nutrition. So I was
Oh, okay.
obviously like where my experience started there. And I worked there for like probably 4 years. I want to say like maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, right around 4 years. And I was just like really fascinated with how the business was just like you can help people, but you don't have to be training them. Like
Mm,
I was like, oh wow, so people are coming in and I'm giving them recommendations and then they're coming back in and they're like, wow, this really helped me. But I didn't have to have that like training relationship. I
mm-hmm.
was just like, they're a customer. I give them my best. Like I just kind of tell them what I like, what I think works for me. I was big into supplements, taking them, trying to get big, obviously, doing bodybuilding. So I was like, this is kind of a way of helping people in the fitness industry, but not having to train. So yeah, once I started realizing like it's almost like what I wanted to do that, but not directly training, I was like, all right, I'm a businessman. I have that mindset. I was like, what do I do from here? So I was just had my mindset on either trying to get a manager position, which I mean, at the time, I don't know if there was one available, but I was just like, maybe I should just start looking for locations, open up my own, possibly, whatever.
Okay.
So just dove right into it. I was in school at the time and I was just like, all right, let me start looking for locations, try to find something out of the way there's not really anything around there. Started looking, visited some spots. Then I was like, okay, like, you know, just planning out the process. What do I need to do to get it open? Like, how am I going to tell my boss that I'm opening up a store? Like, it was kind of just like, is this going to be awkward? But, I eased into it and I was just like, all right, like, gotta tell him because I think I'm going to do this. And at the time, I mean, I was just working a lot, kind of just saving money, trying to figure out, COVID happened. I was working through COVID. I was just trying to stack up as much money as I could because I was like, I need to do something with my life. And I don't think getting like a proper 9 to 5 job is going to be it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, asked my boss at Cape Cod, like, hey, thinking about doing this. And he was like, gave me the blessing, which was pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, hey, I'm opening up a rival store of yours.
Yeah.
Like, it was a weird conversation for me, but it seemed like it went over well with him. So I was like, all right, word. Um, did like the whole business plan thing, like wrote out a pretty thorough business plan,
Mm-hmm.
started like looking at financials and how everything was going to work. And then, yeah, found this spot and just went for it,
All right.
pretty much it was a shell. Like this place had no walls or anything. So
Oh,
I was like, I
really? Oh,
have to,
wow.
yeah. So I was like, I had to like budget out how I was gonna make this place
So
fit as a nutrition store.
how'd you decide on that location then?
It was just like in a nice plaza. There's nothing around here. There's nothing in Walpole.
Okay.
The closest store would be like a GNC, maybe 3 towns over,
Okay.
which is like, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think there's another store maybe, like a Cape Cod in Easton, which is like 30
Hmm.
minutes away. So
Oh, okay.
there was nothing around here, and I was just like, this is a good location. This is a nice spot. There's tons of traffic. It's right off of Route One.
Hmm.
There's an Orange Theory gym in the same plaza.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I could probably make this work.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and then yeah, like I said, just went for it, just kind of went all in.
Yeah. So
And
did you start by did you have like enough money saved up where you could just start renting outright? Did you have to like finance it at all? How'd that
yeah,
process
so
kind of look to start?
so I had enough money saved up to, I mean, yeah, I had to sign a lease. There was
Hmm.
nothing really upfront. It was like the way I kind of got it was like I have some time on my hands to when I sign the lease for to when I open before I have to start paying rent.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right, so if I can get the place ready, open up, and then maybe get like a month or two under my belt before I have to start paying rent,
Hmm.
then I could maybe make it work. Like, I mean, I literally, now that I look at it, I was like pretty much like, I mean, it couldn't have been any closer to just being like all in, like everything, like pretty much just if this fails, I'm screwed type thing. I was just like,
Okay.
might as well. Yeah, like every dollar was going. I was spending tons of money at like Home Depot. I was like,
Yeah.
everything because I had to paint, I had to do all the walls. It was crazy, honestly. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it was
All right.
good though. Nice
Yeah.
experience.
So do you have a lot of your clients or clients, I guess customers, I should say, are they newer or they a lot of people that are close to you that first started coming in? Are they even people from Cape Cod Nutrition Corner that still wanted to come and see you and support you?
So the first month, maybe the first couple months, every now and then I would get a couple local people, like people I've never seen, obviously, in my life. They're coming
Hmm.
from the local gyms, coming in. Oh, a nutrition store is here. They're grabbing a couple things, maybe sparking a conversation, and
Yeah.
that was it. But most people, I mean, when I opened, it was one, two customers a day. I was
Mm,
open for like 9 hours sitting there,
yeah.
just like hoping a customer comes in. Car would pull up, and then they would end up going next door to Jersey Mike's. I'm
Shit.
like, no. So
So,
it was like, it would be like a friend or a family member come in.
yeah.
I'd be able to shoot the shit with them for like an hour, spend some
Yeah.
time with them. And then it was like one other customer maybe grabbing some pre-workout,
Okay.
maybe like a protein. And I was like, all right, this is a good day. Made $150.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, did you, what should I say? I lost my train of thought there. Is it just you that's running it for now? Like, do you
Just
have any
me.
employee? It's just you. So every day is just you.
Just me every day.
And are you,
Every day.
what are the hours that that you're open?
So I'm open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6,
Okay.
Saturday, 9 to 5, Sunday, 10 to 4.
Okay. So how
So
did you
open.
decide on those hours?
Um, Honestly, I just figured, all right, these are pretty typical retail hours.
Okay.
Try it out, see what
All right.
happens. 9 o'clock was like good time for me to be able to go to the gym in the morning, maybe
Yeah.
get some time to myself in the morning, get to the store.
Okay.
And then 6 o'clock is like, I have to make some money on the side. So I'm still doing personal training. So six
Okay.
o'clock was like, all right, I could still do some personal training after work, get
Okay.
a couple clients in, make a couple bucks.
Yeah. Um, because as like a first time business owner, I feel like that's like when it's the toughest is when you just have no money to actually hire an employee, like
Yeah.
nothing that can actually go on the books or anything yet. Um, so that's just like the beginning of like the whole grind, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I probably could, maybe should be, because there's an Orange Theory. So the Orange Theory has
Hmm.
classes starting at like 6:30,
Okay.
maybe even 5:30. So like I
Mm,
could maybe get here at like 8. I mean, if I was doing 8 in the morning to 6 or 8 to 8, something like that, I mean, I wouldn't have a life, but
yeah.
maybe I'd be getting a little bit more business. I'm
Yeah.
not sure though.
Yeah. So are you trying to market yourself? Like around the town or on social media or just on the internet in general? Like, what steps are you starting to take to get this thing more aware?
Definitely, going to the local gyms,
Okay.
making relationships with like the managers at the gyms.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of days that I have, if I have a free day, usually I'm like going to a local gym, paying a day pass and getting in a workout just to show my face, wear the merch,
Okay.
try to spark some like see somebody I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like small things that I'm just like, I'll go to the local gym, set up a table, hand out some
Okay.
samples, some coupons. And then obviously social media is huge. Have to
Yeah.
be doing social media. So I'm just trying to get creative on that,
Okay.
trying to put out as much content on there so I can get a little bit of online business.
Yeah.
Um, I have the online store.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure if I can reach, if it's one person sees it from a couple states over and makes an online order because of something I said, I'm like, it's money in my pocket. It's what,
Okay.
it's what the social media can do.
Yeah. So how do your prices start to compare to like other prices either online or Amazon, things like that? Because I mean those when you're talking about like the online stuff, I mean those are your biggest competitors, someone like Amazon.
Right, right.
You just try to match
Yeah,
them, or is there like
I
a
try my
margin you
best to
try to
match
hit?
it.
Okay.
I definitely try my best to match it. I try to make sure that I'm bringing in brands that have some sort of online policy.
Okay.
Um, NutraBio.
Mm-hmm.
NutraBio does a really good job. It's like they protect the retail stores because they have online policy of you can't undersell.
Okay.
So it's a good, those types of companies are really good to have because it's like you're gonna make the same margin and nobody can come in and be like, oh, it's cheaper online.
Okay. Now, for all of like the supplements that you have, is this something where you had to reach out individually to every company and say, I want to sell your product, or do you just buy them in bulk? How's that process kind of work in order for you to resell them?
Yeah, so it's a mix kind of a little bit. It's, when I was working at the other stores, I would kind of, I was definitely trying to start to build relationships with some of the brands.
Hmm.
I was like, I know I'm going to open a store. That
Hmm.
was that was what my head was set on for like the past year and a half, 2 years. Is I was like, I got to start building relationships, being like a, good personality,
Hmm.
talkative, to try to build relationships with different companies because I liked some of the companies. So
Hmm.
started reaching out directly. You reach out to brands. Some stuff, you can't get like good pricing with some stuff unless you're buying in huge quantities.
Hmm.
So, you're better off some point using distributors, use like, Muscle Foods. I think, most people know Muscle Foods or
Hmm.
Europa. You
Hmm.
use those kinds of people, kind of get like a bunch of different brands. You can get multiple different things, the bars, the drinks, stuff like that.
Now,
And then, there's specific brands that I choose because I'm like, this is something that I really like. I think this is
yeah.
really good. I'm gonna bring it in no matter, what I have to do.
Now, how do you approach like when someone asks you a question of, oh, have you tried this before? And you haven't tried it unless you've tried every supplement that you have. Like that's
So
always something that I start
yeah,
with, you
I
know?
mean, I've tried a lot of stuff because a
Yeah.
lot of these products, we had them at Cape Cod Nutrition. So I was like,
Hmm.
at least I know a lot of the products that I have, but there's going to be products that obviously I haven't tried.
Hmm.
In that case, I'm just always like based off of a review. I've sold the
Okay.
product before. This person really likes this, pre-workout. They said it made them really feel good. I haven't tried it, but
Hmm.
this is what they tell me. That's
Hmm.
kind of the way I go about it because it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and lie straight to their face,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, supplements, a lot of stuff, it is just the same thing,
Yeah.
just a different brand. So you're like, oh, I've had something similar. I use
Hmm.
that a lot.
Yeah. I understand that. I mean, I do the same thing. If someone has told me like, oh, I didn't like this or um oh, I really liked this. Like I just try to be honest with them. You know, I'm like, hey, you know what? You can try this and not, people like it. Me personally,
Right.
I don't like it. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's just the biggest thing is just being honest with them.
I think if anybody knows supplements, you know that some things work with some people and other
Hmm.
things like I've had so many pre-workouts and I'm like, this is the best pre-workout.
Mm,
Somebody else tries it, they're like, I didn't feel anything.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, this protein digests perfectly and I love
Hmm.
the flavor. Somebody else
Yeah.
tries it, they're like, couldn't get it down, you know, made destroyed my stomach. I'm like, well, I don't know, like everybody's different. It's not one size fits all. And I always that's why I like owning a store because it's a store full of different products and I can
Hmm.
recommend something. I don't have to be like, I work for this brand and
Mm,
this is the only stuff I'm ever going to use and this is the
yeah.
best stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you fall into that with like all the sponsorships. It's like,
Mm.
come on, man, your protein isn't the best. Like your protein is terrible.
Yeah, yeah. So do most of the companies send you like samples in order for you to try a lot of the things or not really?
No,
No.
no, none of this. No, it's so bad. I'm like, damn, I might have to take a unit for myself. It's like
Mm,
I beg them sometimes. I'm like, can you throw in something for me? Like,
okay.
I'd love to try it. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. I'm like, okay.
Mm.
Let me just swipe my credit card for 2 grand and
Ah,
can't even get a sample. I'm like,
yeah,
word.
yeah. So how did you start to, was it a struggle for you to kind of have like a business account? Like, do you have like a business bank account? Not to just like go into all your financials, but
Yup.
did you start by like creating separate accounts for Nutrition Lab from your personal, or you just do everything from your personal for now?
Separate accounts. I
Okay.
think I'm not sure if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But for me to kind of like the way I did it, like I got a business credit card. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
something that like a lot of people could take advantage of
Mm-hmm.
nowadays is like, I was able to get a business credit card and that was through, the bank that I proposed them my business plan, gave
Mm-hmm.
them pretty much my whole outline of what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
um, set up accounts with them and did all this stuff. And then they were like, all right, you get this business card.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that I think, I mean, without that business card, probably wouldn't have been able to open up because, that's how I was able to get all my inventory and stuff.
Yeah. So what about when someone comes in and they're just like, I want like the magic pill that's just gonna like make everything like better. Like how do you kind of navigate that in terms of like making a sale but wanting them to be honest, like you know that their diet isn't like anything that they've even like recorded or written down? Like how do you kind of navigate that type of customer?
I honestly, like, I think I give people way too much. I
Okay.
think I'm like, somebody comes in and they're like, hey, I've been doing this at the gym and I feel like I'm not seeing any more progress and
Hmm.
I want to lose more weight. I'm just like,
Hmm.
I dive into them. I'm like, well, you know, what's your lifestyle like? How many times you
Hmm.
go into the gym? I just butcher them with questions. And if
Hmm.
if they want to talk, then we get somewhere. But if some people they don't obviously want to, take it to that level. So I just kind of in that case, I'm like, all right, let's start you off with a couple of basics, maybe
Hmm.
some whey protein to replace a meal, get a little
Hmm.
bit of protein in there. Um, simple stuff. But
Hmm.
most of the time, since you know, I'm I'm building a brand. I'm trying to build relationships with almost every customer that comes in.
Hmm.
I'm really trying to learn them. I'm like, all right, this person, they said, they do, you know, they've been under eating, and right
Hmm.
away I'm like, all right, you got to eat more.
Hmm.
This is what your eating should look like. Maybe put in a protein shake here. Maybe you need to add some carbs. Like I'll straight up start coaching them. I don't know why,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
that's the
I
way
think
I
that's
do it.
just relationship 101. I
Right.
mean, it's relationship 101. I think it's sales 101 because like sales, you just want to be the person that asks them like as many questions as you can, find like their real main pain point of why they're struggling and then somehow be able to fix that. And like everyone wants to come in and like find this like one size fits all type supplement, and it's just like not really how it works. Um, so over your four years previous, is that where you learned everything about like supplements? Is just through Cape Cod, or were you doing research on your own? What was
Yeah,
kind of like the
definitely. Yeah, definitely research on my own. But,
Mhm.
like I said, when you work for, the way most Cape Cod stores, there's only one person working.
Hmm.
So it's like, you're dealing with a lot of people one-on-one, or, if there's downtime, you could pretty much do whatever you want with that downtime. Now, a lot of times I was watching Netflix, but other times I
Hmm.
was studying, like pulling a product off of the shelf and just looking at it, looking up that ingredient,
Hmm.
seeing some clinical studies, reading through it, experimenting on myself,
Hmm.
experimenting with customers.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, this is a good product. Like you should definitely try it. Then they come back and they're like, oh, like I felt amazing. And then, I start selling that one a lot
Yeah.
because it's like, it really works. It's a good product.
Okay.
Now, if it doesn't work for everybody, obviously that's something that I play it case by case.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a tough question. Do you know all of the ingredients in every product that you have in the shelves, or like there's still a couple of different things where you're unsure or unclear about, or maybe you've even never heard of?
I would say like very few ingredients that I've never heard of.
Hmm.
Might be like a couple, like Garden of Life. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that
Hmm.
brand. There might be a couple of their like herbal products that like I don't know exactly what this ingredient is,
Hmm.
or you know, I get a new maybe fat burner or a new pre-workout that has like an ingredient I've never heard of, but I look into it and kind of get my own educated opinion on it.
Hmm.
But for the most part, I mean, typically, like I just brought in this brand, Pure Encapsulations,
Okay.
and I was just, I was doing research on them for
Hmm.
probably a month or two before I brought them in. I was looking at what makes them special, what makes them unique,
Hmm.
what are they putting into their products, and
Yeah.
then I would kind of go through their catalog and kind of pick out things that I like.
Hmm. Because I think it's tough because there's just so many different brands.
Right,
Um,
right.
so do you think that you'll get to the point where like maybe a lot of people are starting to request a certain brand, but maybe you don't personally love it? Do you think that you would go and get that brand for the customers, or it would go kind of
That's a
against?
good question. That's a good one because when I first opened this on my business plan, like I wanted everything my way. I wanted everything like super clean. I'm big
Mhm.
on like, minimal like artificial stuff, like try to keep out any like dyes, any fillers. Like I don't like there's no need for it. If you want a good quality supplement, it's going to be, minimal but effective.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is going to be the best, cleanest, like there's not going to be any junk in here. And then
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, you do get those people, hey, I need some C4. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't really want to be carrying C4, but
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to have it on the shelf because people are
Yeah.
going to ask for it. Or it's like, oh, I need, I don't know, like another, like, I want this specific protein. I
Mhm.
want raw nutrition's isolate protein. And I'm like, well, I have, this brand of isolate, and this brand actually makes raw nutrition. So it's like literally the exact same protein, but
Mhm.
nope, it has to say raw. It has to say Chris Bumstead on the front, like,
Yeah.
so sometimes I might give in and I'll be like, all right, I'll get that for you.
Mhm. Okay. I think it's just that shiny object type
Right.
syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, the same reason that C4 makes their actual containers shiny.
Hmm.
It's because it just draws people in. Um,
Right.
Kind of the way that we do it, we don't carry like things like C4, but what we do is if someone wants something, we'll just order it for them and we'll just order
Right.
like a single and then we'll pretty much just price match it to like Amazon, like
Right.
something like that. And that's the model that kind of like works for us, not to go over like Big Mike's like just kind of like how he does it like from my point of view, you know. Um, so in the supplement industry, how do you navigate when there's so many different um supplements? Like how do you I feel like we've kind of answered this already, but like there's just so many different supplements out there and so many different brands out there. I feel like it's hard to just like ask you a question like kind of honing in on a specific so let me reword this. What do you think for the average person are some basic supplements that most everyone should need?
Yeah. So typically if somebody's coming in just looking for, a recommendation, I always
Hmm.
go with dependent, if they're looking to build muscle, say, they're looking to build muscle and they just, want to feel better, right?
Hmm.
I'll be like, all right, break down their diet a little bit. Are they doing a protein? Okay, let's do a protein. I think
Hmm.
protein is important.
Hmm.
Creatine, creatine is great. It's
Hmm.
been around forever. It's effective. It's not going to kill you. Great
Hmm.
supplement. Boom, grab that. And then, do they need a little energy? Um, are they trying to maybe burn a little bit of fat? I guess you can
Hmm.
kind of put a little quotations around that. But, then typically I go for like some L-carnitine or something.
Hmm.
If you're familiar with that, it's just,
Hmm.
basic amino acid that kind of helps thermogenic, heat you up a little bit, make you sweat a little bit more,
Hmm.
burn a little bit of fat.
Yeah,
So,
we use those kind of like shiny type words, like
right.
tone and things like that, just because
Yeah, you
as a
have to.
society we like them, but like
It's great.
we
People
all
love
know
hearing
that we
it.
don't like that's just not how it works. I also saw I was looking on the website, you guys have the total health, it's the CBD, the
Yeah,
total,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
that's from Dr. Swart, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
I
how
went to
did how
Bridgewater. I had it. I had his
okay, I went to
class.
Bridgewater too. Yeah, I had Dr.
Yeah.
Swart.
Yeah.
Dr. Swart was on the podcast.
Oh,
Um,
was he?
yeah. He was one of the early episodes. But so how did you uh decide to go with like his brand, and how did that uh come
So
come about?
honestly, like, I mean, he was my professor.
Hmm.
I have a ton of respect for him, and I was just like, he came in, asked me, and I was just like, hell yeah,
Oh,
like I
okay.
would love to help out a friend. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I work. Like, there's somebody
Hmm.
else came in from the local Walpole
Hmm.
CrossFit gym. It's called CrossFit Prosperity.
Hmm.
He made a pre-workout and he was like, hey, you want a couple units, throw it on a shelf? And I'm like, always more than happy to throw something on my shelves. Is it the best pre-workout on the shelf? I'm not going to go there and say that, but
Hmm.
it's nice to have another option, something that's unique. It's unique. Um, and then that was the same case with Dr. Sport. He asked me, and I was, I don't really have any CBD. So I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this will be great. Give him a nice little spot on the shelves.
Yeah.
And I would like, I would love if it does great. I
Yeah.
hope it does. I'm trying to sell people. If they ask for CBD, they're getting his. So
Hmm. All right. Yeah. I just wasn't sure how that kind of like came about, if that's something where you reached out to him, he reached out to you. Because I haven't tried like I don't know his entire, I don't know if he's like the owner operator of the company or if he's just like an affiliate. I'm not
yeah,
100% sure on that. I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
yeah, I think he does. I think he is the owner, or at least partial ownership with his family. Like he's
Okay.
definitely like, a owner or one of the owners, or something like that. I don't want to obviously,
Yeah.
but
Butcher it in a sense. Um,
exactly.
yeah, I think it would be beneficial to just go cover some of the brands that you have on the shelf, and why you like those brands, not in comparison to others, but just like as a whole.
Sure. Yeah, so first one up, I would definitely shout out to NutraBio. I love their products.
Hmm.
They do great stuff. No proprietary blends. They label every ingredient with the exact amount of how much is in there. So like you'll see like other ingredients and it'll tell you how many milligrams of sucralose, xanthan gum,
Hmm.
pretty much every ingredient in there. Really good quality. They manufacture everything in their own facility, so it's tested in their own facility. Um, just all around great brand, really good
Hmm.
company.
I think
Uh,
before the next way, it would just be helpful to go over like what a proprietary uh
Blend.
proprietary blend. Yes. I wanted
Yeah,
to say
yes.
glands, and I couldn't think of blend for some reason.
No, so proprietary blend, you'll typically see it in like a pre-workout,
Hmm.
but it'll be like a combination of a bunch of ingredients, and then it'll say proprietary blend with the amount of total ingredients is in there. So you don't
Hmm.
know the exact amounts of creatine. You don't know the exact amounts of caffeine. It just tells
Hmm.
you this is, 1,000 milligram blend and it's broken down with these ingredients. NutraBio doesn't do anything of that. It'll have the exact amount of, you know, pre-workout,
Yeah.
caffeine, alpha GPC, whatever you talk about.
So do you think something like that could be like quote unquote dangerous in a sense because we don't know the exact like measurements that are going into it?
Um, depending on what's in there,
Yeah.
in like a protein, probably not,
Hmm.
because as long as you see what the ingredients are, I mean, ingredients are listed based off of the amount in the blend. So,
Hmm.
if the first ingredient is red dye, number 40, then obviously
Hmm.
there's a lot of red dye in there and you probably don't want to take that product.
Hmm.
Um, but with a blend and like a pre-workout, some people they like that it's a blend because they're like, this is definitely gonna, you know, crush my workout and make me feel
Yeah.
insane. But it's for some people. I just think that it's
Hmm.
cool that they're transparent about it.
Hmm. So what is another brand or two that you guys carry, um, that maybe might be newer or just something that you believe in, you really like their products?
I would say the other brands definitely Garden of Life.
Hmm.
They're a really good, well-known, like high quality brand. A lot of their stuff is organic. A lot of
Hmm.
their stuff is non-GMO.
Hmm.
Um, just good ingredients. A lot of different options, not a lot of fillers. I would
Hmm.
say they're a good brand. And then like the last one that I was talking about, Pure Encapsulations,
Hmm.
really good, no fillers. They're all definitely really good, nice, highly formulated products. They're not
Hmm.
cheap on the formulas.
Hmm.
But the products, a little bit more expensive. When you get into like a really properly dosed, say, multivitamin, it's not going to be 11.99 for a month. It's going to be a
Hmm.
little bit more expensive. So,
Now, how can we like kind of take a self-diagnosis in a sense of I haven't taken a multivitamin for the past couple years, and now I've just started to take a multivitamin. How do we know if it's like starting to work, or what benefits might we start to see from something like that?
I think it kind of comes down to like how much in tune you are with
Mm,
yourself. Now, a lot of
mhm,
people aren't in tune with their bodies. Their digestion's all messed up, but they think it's normal, or,
mhm,
they're not sleeping at night and their head's not turning off, but they think that's normal. Meanwhile, like they just took caffeine like 20 minutes ago. It's like,
mhm,
if you take caffeine, you're not going to go to bed. So you got to kind of like be in tune with yourself. And then, I recently just started taking a multivitamin pack, like it's like an assortment,
mhm,
and I feel the difference. Like I feel more
mm,
energetic.
okay.
I'm not drinking as much caffeine. It's
Mhm,
like I definitely feel, a difference in energy. I feel a difference in just overall just alertness, I would say. I just feel better overall. So
okay.
I'm able to say that because I'm in tune with myself. I know when I'm feeling a little, dragging a little bit. I'm
Mhm,
sure you're pretty good with yourself too, but a lot of
mhm,
people, they just don't know. They're like, oh, I feel like crap today. Meanwhile, they just had like, a bunch of fried food and a bunch of crap the night before. It's like you're not gonna feel good.
mhm. Um, so what about I saw two different brands that you have, or maybe not two different ones, but I saw that you have some of the Revive uh
Yep.
products. Now that's like a newer brand. Um, how did you kind of find out about that brand? And then what are some of the products that you like about that brand, and why?
Um, I think that's one of the more it's popular. I
Mm,
definitely think they have good quality products. I think some of their formulas are very unique.
mm-hmm,
I've used their products in the past. I have a lot of friends who use their stuff. I think I would have a few of their products even without, even if it wasn't as frequently asked for, but I think that's one of those things is like people ask for it. It's good quality stuff. It's very popular. Might as
mm-hmm.
well just have it.
All right. And now I feel like this might be a tough question to answer, but now someone that may not be going to uh like a well-known place like a nutrition lab or a Cape Cod Nutrition Corner. Maybe someone's just going to their local GNC or vitamin shop, something like that. How can, from a customer's perspective, can they start to like navigate all of these brands that are around them and find one that's gonna like work for them, but also uh be their best like health conscious choice?
All right, yeah. So you go into, a GNC or a vitamin shop. the brand that you don't want to carry or that you don't want to end up using is probably the brand that they're pushing down your throat
Mm.
the most.
Yeah.
Because typically, that's the cheapest product, the most
Hmm.
margin product. Um, I typically think that looking at the ingredients is
Hmm.
probably the best start. If you look
Hmm.
at the ingredients, maybe it says like other ingredients and it's a thick, thick panel, like it's probably not gonna sit well, or it's definitely gonna have a little bit of a tough time to be digested. Something like that I think is pretty easy for most of us to do. Just look at the
Hmm.
back of the bottle, kind
Okay.
of give it a little read. Um, but it's hard. You go into those
Hmm.
stores and I don't blame people for why they walk out with these terrible products. I don't blame them
Hmm.
because they don't know what they're going into.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people that come into the store and they're like, like I'll go through them, maybe like have a conversation with them, get them a couple products. And they'll be like, wow, like this was so good. Like, it's so much cheaper. Like, I feel like these are really going to work. Like,
Mm.
I didn't have that kind of experience at another place. And that's the experience you get when you go into a smaller business kind of store rather than like a GNC or, shopping online, you're not going to get any interaction.
Hmm. Now, with supplements, because they are just at the end of the day supplements, something to add to what you're eating and taking on top of everything. What kind of percentage do you think a placebo effect has on a lot of the supplements in the industry?
Mm, I mean, I don't know. Maybe like because it's definitely not a percentage of. It's tough. I mean,
Hmm.
maybe 25%.
Hmm.
I wouldn't go as far as saying 50% because
Yeah.
I mean, I know from experience that it worked for me and
Hmm.
I've done it, I've done things without supplements or I've, gone periods without them. I do try to like experiment with myself and see what works and see what doesn't. But,
Hmm.
I would say some people are drinking a pre-workout just to, I don't know, just to get
It's
that feeling
become
of the beta
ritual.
alanine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't really know. Some people they're like, "Oh, I don't ever feel pre-workout anymore, but I still take it." All right,
Hmm.
that's a placebo then,
Hmm.
you don't feel anything, but you're just taking it because you want a nice drink on the ride in. I don't know.
Hmm. Do you think that oh, what was I gonna say here? I had a good question lined up for you. Um, oh shit. I don't know what I was gonna ask here. Oh man, you got me stumped for a second. But what I'll go into a different point here. Um, so do you have any interest in creating your own supplement line at some point or just the store?
I don't think I'll ever do an entire line.
Okay.
Maybe one day I'll dip into like a specific product that like I'm really passionate about.
Hmm.
But I think with the line, it comes in like with that bias. It's like I'm only gonna want to sell my line because it's my
Hmm.
line. I make the most money on it,
Hmm.
and I want people posting about my stuff. And I think
Hmm.
that's like back to my other point. That's where a lot of people go wrong with the sponsorships is like, you're pretty much bouncing from sponsorship to sponsorship saying this is the best, this is the best, this is the
Hmm.
best. And then, meanwhile, I have a store full of a variety of stuff and I'm able to actually be the one who's like, this one's good, this one did this one's okay. I don't have an obligation to sell brand after brand. It's just I get to sell whatever I want to sell.
Yeah. This was the question that I had beforehand that I couldn't figure out. Um, Going off our last point, do you think that it's important, and we'll start to wrap up after this question here, um, to cycle off of different supplements, like give them a break, or do you think that uh most of the things that we take we could just take kind of nonstop?
I think it's good to switch it up. I do
Okay.
think like things like maybe, our bodies adapt. So I
Mm-hmm.
think in the past I've been drinking the same protein too long that it ended up my body built like some sort of intolerance to it and it ended up not sitting well. Like I was just
Mm-hmm.
drinking it every day for a year straight And then, for some reason, it just wasn't digesting anymore.
Mhm.
I think the same with a probiotic. I think you're taking a probiotic every day, your body's getting used to the bacteria that's coming in from that specific probiotic. I
Mhm.
think it's good to switch the next month and take in a new probiotic with different bacteria, build up
Mm.
more and more. I think it's
Okay.
good to switch up your greens. Like, I do think switching around, as long as you're enjoying the product, as long as it's a good quality, you're going
Mhm.
from good to good and not good to mediocre.
Mhm. Now, I also meant in terms of like, I've been taking a probiotic for the last year. Should I take maybe a month off type of thing? I
Okay.
mean, I understand this is very person dependent, but we're just like a
Right.
broad scope here.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, cycling off isn't going to hurt you,
Hmm.
I don't think. Like, I think obviously you give your body a break, it resensitizes, and then put that thing back in. Like, I think it's good to cycle off of something like melatonin. You
Hmm.
take melatonin every night, you get great sleep. You don't want to become dependent on it though, or you don't want to build a tolerance to it to the point where you're taking 20 milligrams every night.
Hmm.
So you do it a couple months and then you take some time off. Something like that, I think it's a good thing to cycle on and off. Something like a probiotic, though, I feel like a lot of people they cycle off and then they just have gut problems. So it's like
Okay.
if you think you can cycle off and still maintain a healthy gut and
Hmm.
not, feel like a disaster, a lot of people they're like their skin breaks out when they come off a probiotic or
Hmm.
they're not using the bathroom anymore. It's like if you felt good on it, why would you come off?
Hmm. Hmm. Because I would say ask the same question for like something like a multivitamin or a creatine, something like that.
Yep.
Products that are a little different. Do you have kind of the same view on them?
Multivitamin, I would say, I mean, yeah, I would say if you can maintain that same level of feeling good,
Hmm.
say you come off, you're like, oh, I want to save $30 and not try to buy a multivitamin every month,
Hmm.
then try to come off. If you still feel good, all right, you don't need that.
Hmm.
Come off a creatine and lose 5 pounds and feel weaker in the gym. I don't know if you're going to want to come off ever again. So, a lot of people, they'll stay on your creatine all year round.
Hmm.
But um, yeah, I mean, I like to cycle on and off everything. I just kind of do whatever, honestly. I'm
Okay.
just like, today I'm going to take a multivitamin. Tomorrow, oops, not going to take it.
Who knows?
Today I'm going to take 3 grams of fish oil. The next day I'm like, see what happens without it. I don't know. I'm definitely someone who plays around probably more than I should, but
Hmm.
I do like experimenting and trying. Like, I'll take a mega dose, 50 milligrams of melatonin, and I'll be like, see what happens, see what
Huh.
happens, and I'll have like
Have you
nightmares all night.
have you done that? Or
Yeah, yeah, for
yeah?
sure.
How
Yeah.
what was that like?
It was just
Like,
like I was really, really lethargic in the morning, like
ugh,
still sleeping in the morning.
ugh. Cause I've
Nothing caffeine can't fix though.
cause I've read a couple different studies now of people that are like really like super macro dosing melatonin, like not going from
Yep.
like 5 to 50, but 5 to 10 over like a few week period, all the way up to something like 80,
Yeah, yeah, I've
something
heard 60
crazy,
or 60 to 80.
which personally I haven't tried and don't think I really want to try. I'll maybe take melatonin more like a once a week type thing. Like it's
Okay,
not
yep.
something that I really like need to like get to sleep for
Right.
me. And like no matter when I take it, I feel like I'm still a little like groggy in the morning. It doesn't really matter how much I take.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where it's like person to person because I have people
Hmm.
like I have a product that has 1 milligram of melatonin in it.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, I woke up and I was so groggy. And I'm
Hmm.
like I could take 10 and I wake up feeling so fresh and so like no grogginess, just super,
Hmm.
super awake. I'm just like, wow, that was the best sleep ever.
Yeah, I have like like they're 3 milligram tablets, and even if I just take like I've tried 3, 6, 9, all the way up to like 15, just to kind of like play around with it. And it doesn't really matter. Like unless I'm getting like 10 hours of sleep, I'm I'm pretty much like groggy from it. It doesn't really
Yeah,
matter what time I take it, what time I go to bed, what time I wake up. I think it's just like a me thing because I have a pretty fine um time just getting to sleep anyways.
right. Yeah, same.
So. Yeah. But I think this is a pretty good place to like leave off. So
Word.
what I do just where we can find you, just to kind of reiterate where the store is, where we can find you online, things like that, and if people have questions for you, where they can touch base with you.
Yeah, so Nutrition Lab, got the merch
Mm-hmm.
on. Walpole, right off of Route 1, right next
Mm-hmm.
door to a Jersey Mike. So make sure you come in here, get your subs. We have an online website, nutritionlabma.com. Um, Ship pretty much anywhere in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, Instagram, Nutrition Lab MA. You can hit me up. I'm literally on there like as like my own personal Instagram account, answering questions and just, having conversations with people who ask about products. I don't really care. I just, I
Yeah.
like interacting with people and, getting good reactions from a product that I recommended. I love that stuff. So yeah, feel free.
All right, sweet. I'll have to stop in at some point, but all right, that'll
Word.
wrap us up for the day. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, I
Have a good
appreciate
night.
you.